Hello, today is Monday, July 28th. Welcome to episode 481 of Fault Lines, the National Security Institute's podcast that gets you quickly up to speed 3 times a week on the national security and foreign policy debates shaking up America. I'm advisory board member Lester Munson. I'm joined today by Deputy Executive Director Martha Miller and NSI Senior Fellow Morgan Vina. We have the elite group today. I don't know where the hell Jones is, but she's been we may have to demote her to junior fellow. Very disappointing her attendance lately on the pod. Okay, we are talking about a serious issue this morning, which is food aid in Gaza, an issue that has kind of exploded across these summer days as the hot topic. A lot of governments criticizing Israel, a lot of organizations, the UN criticizing Israel for the way it's delivering food aid to Gaza, which is through an organization called the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, kind of a special purpose entity that has been set up to provide aid to Palestinians without Hamas getting control of the food. The U.S. has supported this effort, both organizationally and financially. But there's been a lot of criticism. A lot of the food is not appears to not be getting to Palestinians. There is a hunger crisis going on. Israel has responded by saying they will have a 10-hour ceasefire every day so that more aid can be delivered through this foundation. A lot of outside actors are specifically criticizing the foundation and saying that this is not the way to do aid to Palestinians. There's a lot of issues here, of course. The failure of talks over hostages and the situation in Gaza in the last few days has kind of highlighted this more of a humanitarian concern. Morgan, what are your thoughts about these criticisms of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation from outside governments? It may be a topic of conversation between Keir Starmer and Donald Trump in the near future. The UK has been very critical of Israel. What's your take on this?
Well, look, I mean, after a year and a half of war, yes, there is a lot of devastation in Gaza, and this was brought on by Hamas. We now have about 25 countries criticizing Israel's approach to humanitarian delivery in Gaza, the UK and France, of course, two of them. Um, but bottom line here, this war could have ended days after, weeks after the after October 7th, 2023. Give the hostages back, right? We still have hostages. We still have hostage remains in Gaza right now. Hamas can give those back today, and I guarantee you we would see a shift in Israel's approach to how they are waging this war on Hamas in Gaza right now. And so I think we need to be very clear about how this war started. I think too many countries are bemoaning the fact that, yes, there is devastation, there is hunger going on in Gaza right now. Yes, this is a war, right? A war that Hamas started, and it can end it, right? We have these ongoing talks right now that have actually stalled in Doha. Very little pressure is being put on Hamas right now to actually come to the table and deliver the hostages back to Israel. And so until that happens, I mean, I think we can expect Israel to maintain the pressure on this terrorist organization that has control of this territory.
Martha, one of the issues, it seems to me, is that no matter how we slice it, food is a kind of a weapon here. Whether it's going through Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, whether it's going through other organizations that may tilt more towards the Hamas side, sometimes tilt quite a bit towards the Hamas side. Food is an issue here in this conflict. This is kind of an extension of war by other means. What's your What's your take on the merits of this idea that aid should not be going through the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, should be going through other channels?
Look, I mean, this totally benefits Hamas. I mean, you raise great questions. I think the important thing to point out here is that Hamas is using, a humanitarian crisis to its advantage, uh, exactly at a time when they're supposed to be negotiating a ceasefire and they're not playing ball. So really, the GF the GHF is working, and that's why Hamas fears it. They demanded it to be shut down in the ceasefire talks because it cuts them out and brings real relief to Gazans without a terrorist tax on it. And I think we can, obviously, there are humanitarian corridors or little short pauses in the fighting that Israel has created to allow humanitarian aid to come in. I think, the biggest challenge is distribution there in Gaza itself, which frankly, Hamas is responsible for. So I think Hamas will use every opportunity to use this as propaganda against Israel, and to push its agenda on the world stage. And they have sadly successfully turned quite a few people against Israel, or at least turn people to be critical of Israel and Israel's situation here. I think it would be important for Israel and other parties to get aid to Gazans as quickly as possible, so that Hamas cannot use this as propaganda on its side.
Morgan, I've noticed that in the last few days, Israel's allowed some of these overflights with aid drops to go into Gaza as kind of another vector into the population. But let's and so it does seem like Israel's showing some flexibility here, and they recognize that this pressure from the other side through the international community actually does kind of matter a little bit. Israel doesn't want to be totally be seen as the bad guy here. So some of this, like, let's face it, Hamas has a card to play here. They're playing it. It's at least somewhat effective. Do you think that's going to impact the relationship between Washington and Jerusalem? Do you think the Trump administration will get wobbly on support for Israel in the midst of all this?
Yeah, going back to building up what Martha said here, I mean, I have no doubt that there is hunger and devastation in Gaza. I think we also, at the same time, need to be very careful about the data that we are paying attention to and the data that we choose to believe in and take as fact here. A lot of this information is coming from the Gaza Health Ministry, right? The numbers that you see reported by the UN, by CNN, by the mainstream media, a lot of these numbers come directly from a Hamas-led agency. And so, of course, they're using these numbers, whether or not they are correct or not. I think we should be very skeptical about the data that we're seeing coming in and question it, right? And being able to get ground truth is incredibly important about the extent to which food aid needs to be delivered, where it needs to be delivered, and the method for doing so, right? So I think that's incredibly important, and just continue to foot stomp. At the same time, though, yes, Israel understands they've got a problem here. They've got a huge PR problem. Israel always has a public relations problem. That is nothing new. Israel's always going to be demonized as the aggressor here, regardless of whether they were the victim of a horrific terrorist attack that killed over 1,200 people back in October 2023. So yes, I think that they are trying to find a solution here, while at the same time ensuring that their military gains are maintained, as well as ensuring that that aid does not get into the wrong hands.
Okay, Morgan, but what about the alliance between Washington and Jerusalem?
Oh, I don't see any cracks in that at all. I think if anything, you're seeing that being maintained. If anything, in DC right now, what you're seeing is the Democrats, particularly, whether it be this joint statement coming from the heads of national security, or the ranking members of various national security committees in the Senate, or whether you're seeing this in the Senate letter to Secretary Rubio on the GHF. I mean, I think. Yes, I think on the Dem side here in DC, you're seeing a lot of criticism, but I think at least from the administration side, and certainly from the Republicans in Congress, there is rock solid support there.
Yeah, so this is a hugely serious topic, and I'll just make the pithy comment that it's too bad President Trump doesn't have tariffs to use as a lever here with the Palestinians. It's his favorite tool in the Cambodia, Thailand little fracas that's going on a few thousand miles away from Israel. He's using tariffs as a wedge to get people to negotiate with each other. Can't really do that with the Palestinians, unfortunately. Okay, thanks everyone. That's a wrap. Thanks always to Taylor Lane, Kelly Crowley, Claude Jennings, and the NSI staff for their help in producing today's episode. Join us on Wednesday, July 30th for another episode of Fault Lines, the National Security Institute's podcast that gets you smart fast on the national security and foreign policy debate shaking up America. Of course, we're now on YouTube. Check out our channel there for a video of today's episode. If you like what you heard or saw, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.